Koepp, and this is a review of week one's coding project. For my project, I decided to go with a Chuck Norris theme because, well, Chuck Norris is awesome. So I start out with my array, which is seen up here at the top, and I decided to go ahead and index it later on after writing my program, just to clean things up. On here, and we got our other variables. We have a count variable that will be seen a little bit later in some of the logic. I set my background color for my app, which is right here. With my joke window, which is the main window here, I brought in an image that was a Creative Commons image for reuse. I have it for repeating because otherwise it's just this one little block and doesn't look very good. And we have our joke view, which is our main screen right in here, our previous view here, and our next view over in here. Of course, we got our following text that goes with that, and I kept a common color combination, which I attempted to also match as best as possible to our background window image. We got good font sizes, everything like that. Took a little bit of work. Also have for my text an auto width and height, which kind of helps adjust it to fit within your view. Some things like with my joke text, which is the actual joke here, I have auto width and height, but also need it to have a left and right buffer to it. Otherwise, my text came right against the side in the yellow on yellow. You couldn't see it as good. So I went ahead and put that little buffer in there so it wouldn't be right up against the edge. Here I have my function blocks for the actions of the previous and next views. And we were supposed to do a separate file for logics and things like that. My logic is very short, and I did forget. Typically, as you can see in other places, I'll put these little separators within my code in different key spots to me to help separate some things, such as all this, which is kind of your actions for all of your variables or your logic a bit. And so I like to keep all that kind of separate from my variables and as well my notes, which I have here, which kind of briefly goes over what I'm talking about. So the gist about logic is that when you click on the next or the previous button, it will go on to the next joke, and that's done by going to function block, and I have this variable count. Now the count by default starts on 0 as I input up here. So I'll always show the first joke, which is Chuck 0, and it'll start up on that one. Now whenever you click it, it goes through this little mathematical function here of count equals count plus 1. You could have done plus plus or whatever other person's particular way of doing such. And then I also have this if statement for if the count is greater than 7, then count now equals 0. So if it ever goes above 7, it will automatically loop back down to 0, which I actually need to adjust, as I talk about here. But originally I had, as we see here, this phantom screen where a joke didn't appear because I made the error of counting my array 1 through 7, not 0 through 6. And so whenever I put in my coding, it needed to be adjusted. 0 through 6, so I don't have that phantom screen. Same goes for the previous. I need to bring it back to screen 6. And of course, the previous is just the opposite of what the next one is. And whenever I originally wrote out my array, of probably a lot of people would do, is that they put all of their jokes and information, or whatever you're using in your array, all right here within these little square brackets. And so I did that, but you know, having all these sentences, that's quite long, and it went way off screen, and it was very clustered and hard to really see what was going on. And I got to think about this, that if this was an app that I was practically designing for practical use, and I was wanting to build upon it and update it, or I had other people that might need to be working on it, that makes it very difficult for usability when it comes to coding. So I went ahead and decided to break down an index for each of the jokes. So if I ever want to add a joke, I simply come in here and I can do Chuck 7 equals, and then just type in what I want. Boom. And then I can come down here, and within my function blocks, I would bump this up like so. And then save it, rerun the program. And here we are. We have our new line that we just put in. So it's very easy to add many things to our index of jokes or whatnot that we want. Anyways, this is my code, and thank you very much.